Hello guys, and good morning from Volgograd. Welcome to the Russian Football News Predictions League Round 29 preview. And as you can see, I've got a rather special edition today. Right behind me, the Mother Russia statue right at the top of the hill, overlooking Volgograd, overlooking the Volga River. And I can assure you this is quite some view, but don't take my word for it, just have a look for yourself. This is at the top of the hill, and there you have the Volga River. And a bit further round, you can see right on the banks, that is the Volgograd Arena, where 4 World Cup games will be. England will kick off their World Cup campaign against Tunisia there on the 18th of June. And yesterday, Rota Volgograd had a fairly damaging result against Krylia Sovietov. I was there pitch side, and they lost 2-0. They really don't look a funny outside, if I'm being honest. But anyhow, that's besides the point. We've got to crack on with the Premier League previews. Now, slightly forgive me because I'm doing this handheld out in the open. So I've only got my predictions, not a lot of statistics to back it up. But anyhow, we'll go ahead. Now, guys, 2 games to go in the Russian Premier League. That means there is still a hell of a lot to play for. The title is still up for grabs. Lokomotiv, as I predicted last week. Okay, I'm going to do a little plug for myself. I got my first ever 8 results out of 8, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And one of them was Lokomotiv to trip up against Krasnodar. There's now only 4 points between them and Spartak. However, I highly suspect that they will wrap up the title at home this weekend. But anyhow, cracking on with the results, with the games that we have. SKA Khabarovsk, of course, we already know, relegated. Krasnodar, well, they're still just about in the hunt for Champions League. But SKA Khabarovsk, they're already down. There's not much more to it other than I think Krasnodar will win. SKA have battled, but they don't have the quality. Where's the motivation for them at this point, you could say? Krasnodar, on the other hand, Champions League is critical for them. That win against Loko, you could see how much it meant to Sergei Galitsky in the stands. So I'm going for 1-0 to Krasnodar. It's a long way to travel. A win is all they need. Go 1-0 up. They comfortably contain SKA, I think. Next up, Tosno against Dinamo. Now, Tosno are in trouble as well, of course. They're in the relegation zone, the automatic relegation zone, as things stand. Dinamo are outside it, so I think a point apiece it doesn't sound like much for Tosno, but given the fact that they are level on points with Anji, just to give themselves a fighting chance on the last day is almost good enough. Of course, they'll desperately want the 3 points, but again, without Pavel Pogrebniak, and I know this sounds odd, but they actually do depend on him for a serious strike threat, so I think this is going to be a 0-0 draw. Dinamo will take that definitely, because that will give them as good as... I haven't quite checked the points tally. I should have done. Sorry, not so professional today. I think that either guarantees them safety or puts them within a point of safety going into the last round, so that's good enough for them. 0-0 is what I'm going for there. The big game, of course, is Loko at home to Zenit. Now, like I say, Loko, if they get a point, then that will keep them 4 points ahead of their nearest challengers, therefore guarantee the title. And I think that's what they'll go one better than that. I think they'll beat Zenit. Zenit have been a mess. Mancini has been in all over the news recently, across many countries, in fact, that Mancini is in talks with, or has already accepted in some accounts, the Italian national team job. Some people saying Juventus. Either way, it's almost certain he'll return home. Zenit, well, they're looking in trouble for Champions League at least, and if Loko get the win here, which I think they will do, then they really are looking over their shoulders. 2-1 to Loko is my call. I think they've been absolutely class this season. Yes, they have stumbled lately. They do sometimes fail to close out games, but they have intelligent players in their game, and that's what I think makes the difference. I think 2-1 to Loko here. Spartak, well, they're on the coattails. They'll be hoping that Loko trip up. Like I said, I don't think they will, but Spartak they'll toe the line, of course, that they're only focusing on themselves, not on other results. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win at home to Rostov. Rostov, they are out of the relegation zone. Their win against Tosno last week or the week before, in fact it was last week, that was a critical one for them. It just gave them that comfortable breathing space that they needed. I'm going to go for a 2-0 to Spartak here, because they are, of course, they need to secure Champions League football, and I believe a 3 points will do it. I mean, of course you don't want to be losing, but it's not quite as damaging to Rostov as it might be to other sides, simply because the other teams below them are also struggling. Okay, moving on to the Ural Mountains derby, Ural at home to Amkar. Now this is where it gets actually very, very interesting, because at the moment we have Arsenal Tula and Ufa on 37 points, Ural on 36, and Rubin Kazan are on, I believe, 34 points. Either way, the way I've worked it out is this: the race for 6th place might actually be worth something, because there have been a lot of reports, and this was suggested very early on when Spartak lost their semi-final of the Russian Cup. Tosno and Avangard Kursk in the Russian Cup final. The winner, of course, gets direct entry to the group stage of the Europa League, but there is a lot of talk that either side, Tosno or Avangard Kursk, will not be granted a European licence for next season, basically banning them from going into the Europa League. And in that case, the 6th place in the Premier League, like we hoped it would be when Spartak were going to win the Cup, will get European qualification. Of course, none of this is confirmed yet. I actually personally think it's very likely, simply because we've seen it before. Rostov in 2013, I think it was, 2014, they won the Cup when Artem Dzyuba was on loan, weren't allowed into Europe for financial reasons, supposedly. Anyhow, I go slightly off track there. What I mean is, though, that race for 6th place is intense. Now, Ural, this is our last home game of the season. They're unbeaten in 4 or 5 games. They beat Spartak last time out at home in their newly reconstructed Centralny Arena in Yekaterinburg. Amkar, of course, a far worse team, well, than most, and nobody, of course, will miss Amkar if they get relegated from the Russian Premier League. So I think a lot of Russia will be supporting Ural in this one. 2-0 is what I believe it will be. Eric Bitfalvi's got his scoring boots on. He's on 7 goals for the season. And there's very few injuries to worry about for Ural, so I'm confident on that one. Okay, moving on quickly, I've only got 2 minutes left before my battery runs out, apparently. Tsiska at home to Arsenal Tula. Well, Tsiska, they're in 3rd place at the moment. It's all about Champions League qualification for them. I mean, mathematically, they could technically still win the title, but it's very unlikely. I'm going for a 1-0 win at home to Arsenal Tula. Slight bias because I want Arsenal to lose, so that Ural are in a better position to hopefully make that jump up to 6th place. I think they will do it. Alexei Beliksuski is suspended, but other than that, they have a full squad. So 1-0 is what I'm going for. Rubin at home to Ufa. Massive game in that. Well, I've mentioned it a million times already, but that race for 6th place. You know, whether or not Tosno or Avangard Kursk are granted or are denied their licence for Europe, it doesn't matter. All teams will be going for it, because you cannot possibly assume that it's all over. Rubin at home to Ufa. Ufa are dreadful away from home, basically. Rubin have been much improved in the spring season, so I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Rubin. And finally, Anzhi at home to Akhmat Grozny. Anzhi in serious trouble as well. They're level on points with Tosno, but they are just outside the automatic relegation places. Akhmat Grozny, well, again, a point. It's similar in a way for me to the Tosno Dynamo game. I think Akhmat will take a point. So I'm going to go for 1-1, which will marginally help both teams, but it still keeps them in a lot of uncertainty going into the last game week. Okay, that's all for now, guys. Thanks very much. Keep your eyes peeled on my YouTube page, because I'll be doing a couple more videos as I leave Volgograd. I'll be in Samara and Nizhny Novgorod soon. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.